Hi and welcome to Eastside Training Squad, Mat Pilates. This is a 45-minute session with a small ball. If you don't have a small ball, a small cushion or pillow will suffice, and some of these movements can be done without the ball. I'm just going to come into view now and join you. So welcome to Coromaka Cottage on a beautiful summer's day. My name's Dee and I run Eastside Training Squad. Primarily Mat Pilates, do some hip Pilates and some other sessions as well. So we're going to start today with warming up, standing warm up with the ball. So if you can find your standing parallel position, toes pointing forward, lining up those hip bones with knees with toes, relaxing those arms, just giving you a nice shoulder shrug and roll, just holding on to that ball gently. This warm up can be done without the ball. Taking a breath in, I'm just going to turn side on to you, exhaling as we reach up. Take a breath in and keep those arms nice and long and extended, and we're just going to roll through. Now if you need to slightly bend your knees as you come down, please do so. Pausing at the bottom to take that breath in to prepare, exhaling and rolling back through, reaching those arms up overhead. We're going to do 3 more of these. Really extending those arms, just holding on softly to the ball or the cushion or whatever prop you're working with. Breath in. Exhale, rolling through, feeling that nice movement extending through the spine, and a nice reach and lengthening from the shoulder joints down to the fingertips. And extending up. Last one, keeping those arms extended overhead. Let's continue with that spinal warm-up. Exhaling as we reach across to the side, keeping those hips nice and still. And you're kind of reaching across from the hip bone up, all the way up to those fingertips. We're just going to do a couple more. I'm going to relax those arms all the way down. Again, a little shrug and roll if it's needed. Extending those arms forward, making sure the ball is kind of aligned with your hips. Taking a breath in, we're still in parallel standing stance. Exhaling and inhale. Exhaling and inhale. I'm just going to do 4 more of these. I'm going to turn and face you so you can see what the hips are doing. We're keeping those hips nice and stable against the rotation of that lumbar spine. Inhale to center and a nice exhale across and relaxing. I'm going to get you to pop the place your feet in a wide stance, toes pointing forward, or you can turn those toes out slightly. So we're going to take it into a sumo squat or a wide squat, holding on to that ball, nice fingertip touch, or it could be your cushion. We're going to exhale, press and lower the ball. So as we sink into the squat, squeezing the ball as we extend those arms. Good, pushing those hips back and down. Maybe you're still warming up. 2 more. Here's how it looks side on. Last one. And walking those feet in. Back to parallel standing stance. We're going to pop the ball just above the kneecaps, so in between those inner thighs. This time I'm going to get you to relax the arms by your sides, taking a breath in, exhaling, squeezing the ball, and inhale, exhaling. Lovely. We're just going to work through 6 of these. Good, always in through the nose and out through the mouth. We've got 2 more. Nice little squeeze into the ball. Just really warming up through that lower body. Excellent. And we're just going to shift that ball one last time. We're going to pop the ball just above the ankles. We're going to turn the toes out, and I want you to press into the ball. Kind of imagine you're trying to squeeze those thighs in together, And this time we're going to work with a ballet plie squat and ballet arms. Actually, I'm just going to shift away from the wall so my hand doesn't hit the side of the building. Okay, so we've got toes turned out, heels kind of squeezing into the ball. And try and draw those thighs in as close as you can get them as you extend those legs up. Lovely, very nice, soft arms. Press, press, press those heels into the ball, or rather the lower calves. And again, it's just a nice warm up, you don't have to go too deep. Last one, just going to turn those toes forward, take a nice little squat to retrieve the ball, and we are going to come down to the mat. So I want you to come down to one end of the mat, you can park the ball between the thighs again. Taking a breath in, we're going to reach those arms up and over as we did with standing roll down before. Taking a breath in to prepare, exhale. Holding here, I want you to walk it out into your downward facing dog or your pike. Holding here for another inhale, exhale. And continue the journey forward with the hands and gently popping down those knees to the mat. Now I'm just going to pop my class plan here. I'll run through it once, but I still need to refer a little bit to what we're doing. All right. So I want you to place your hands shoulder width apart. We're just going to take it into a cat, cow, and child's pose. So into cat on that exhale. Exhaling to cow. And push back to your child's pose. And you can slide those hands forward. Inhale, coming back, all fours. Cat stretch. Inhale, exhale to cow. And exhale into your child's pose. Sliding those hands forward, hips come down to heels. Good, let's do two more. Working through in pace with your breathing. Extending those arms forward. Last set. Really nice mobilization through the spine. Last time into that child's pose. Hips back to heels, extending those arms and bringing that forehead down to this floor. Okay, bringing hands slightly forward of shoulders. We're just going to go into, I'm going to bring my hands a little bit wider than my shoulders too. Just some very gentle press-ups for 6. Taking a breath in, drawing that belly button in or scooping pubic bone to tummy button. Exhaling and inhale. Beg your pardon, exhale as we lower. Inhale as we lift. So elbows will widen slightly. We're not coming all the way down. I just want you to feel that working through the scapula, through the upper spine. So a little rounding as we come up, or bringing the shoulder blades into neutral position, and a little squeeze, or the shoulder blades will feel like they're almost trying to kiss the spine. There's the last one. We're going to walk those hands back, and we're going to go into a bit of a rock and roll. So wrists underneath shoulders, shoulder width apart with the hands. Exhale, pushing back. Inhale, forward. Let's just work through 4 more of these. So you're kind of bringing hips down to heels. We've got a little squeeze on the ball as we work through. And we're going to progress on from this. You can either stay with another 6 of these, keeping those knees connected to the floor, or bring the heels up. We're just going to lift the knees, rocking back and rocking forward. Good. 4 more. Another couple. Alright, bring those knees back down. We're just going to change this, bring those hands if they've shifted, so wrists under shoulders. I'm going to bring one hand up on my head, one hand on the floor. Now you can, this is optional. We're just going to rotate and pivot back. Now if you need to, just lift that top knee and roll down. So the knee that is furthest away from the camera is staying connected. I'm just rotating through the torso. Or you can lift both up and down. Just got one more. And then we're going to switch sides. So, option, one knee stays grounded and we're just lifting up the knee on the side that we're rotating or lifting that elbow, or up. So you're kind of pivoting around on the balls of your feet if you're lifting both knees. We've got one more. Nice job. All right, we are going to come to seated. I'm actually going to stay with my head down in the shady end. And we're going to pop the ball between the thighs. So we're going to go into half rollbacks. So seated nice and tall, taking a breath in and inhale as we rise. Just doing 6. So heels should just slide along the floor, keeping those legs nice and extended, and we've got a little press on that ball as we're working through. Last one. Nice work. Now if you're comfortable, we're going to go to full rollbacks rather than half rollbacks. If you're not, I want you to stay with a further 6 half rollbacks. So arms extended forward, breath in, exhaling as we're lowering. Good, extending those arms all the way behind. Take a moment here to think about your breath in, scooping pubic bone up to tummy button, extending the arms as you inhale and exhaling, rolling up through that spine. Little press on the ball, pressing into the ball. Take a moment to breathe in, lifting those arms up, exhaling, peeling the shoulders off and rolling up. Think about really pressing your hips to the floor, extending that spine down, vertebra over vertebra. Taking a breath in to reach those arms up, peeling and really pressing hips into the floor to support your body as you're coming up. We're going to do 2 more. Nice big inhale. Press those hips to the floor. Last one. And I want you to remain down on the floor. So if you're doing those half rollback options, come all the way down to the floor. We're just going to lift the legs into tabletop. And we're going to get you to hold the ball. Now you can hold the ball either just above the chest or with the arms extended. We're going to float those legs up into tabletop. Hopefully I've got my legs in the right position. And I want you to think about the knees and hips in a nice vertical line. And I'm always conscious of this, trying to keep the shins parallel to the ceiling. So we're trying to avoid dropping those heels. All right, I'm going to have my toes slightly up. Breath in, single toe tap, and return. Now I've just introduced an ab curl as well, but you could just be focusing on that toe tap, keeping those arms extended. If you want a little more of a challenge, a little press with the ball as you dip the toe to the floor. We're going to work through a further 6. And we could go curl and squeeze as we dip the toe and rolling back down. So you've got lots of options here. We're alternating these toe taps and we're doing 10. So you can keep head and shoulders down, and you might want to give the ball a little squeeze. If it's not comfortable with the arms extended, you can hold the ball down with the elbows resting on the floor. You might still want to do that little curl, or you can just press and squeeze with that ball close to the chest. I think that's about 10. Okay, I'm going to hold here with that tabletop position. So once I check what's coming next, where am I? All right. So I'm going to pop the ball between the thighs, so just above the bony part of the insides of the knees, rolling back down. And I'm going to hold those legs in tabletop. Take a breath in, arms by your sides if that feels more comfortable, and tap the toes to the floor. Inhale as you float those legs back up to tabletop. Give that ball a little press if you can. Inhale. We're going to work through 6 of these. Nice work, a little squeeze on that ball. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Imagine you're drawing that pubic bone or scooping that belly in. Now you can have a slightly neutral spine here or lightly imprinted. We're going to do a couple more. And last one. Nice work. Back to tabletop. You can remove the ball for a moment. Again, let me refer to my notes. Alrighty. So, am I holding on to the ball? Yes. Back between the knees, head on the hands or arms resting beside you. I'm going to go head on hands options first. So this time we're going to extend and draw back into tabletop. Option and draw back into tabletop. Now we're just doing 6 of these. Option. Now you're pressing into that ball. So legs go on the diagonal, 45-degree diagonal, back to tabletop. Remember, you've got your choice. Whether you lift into a curl, or you can keep those arms beside you, and keep the head and shoulders down. Alright, I'm just going to remove the ball, bring one foot down at a time. Just go into a little window wiper stretch, or you can keep that ball there if you wish. I'm just going to roll up and adjust my mat. Okay, now we're going to go into back into our relaxed position, bit of pelvic tilt work. So popping that ball this time between the lower legs, so in between those lower legs, just above the ankle. Arms nice and heavy. I want you to feel those shoulder blades melted into the floor. We've got those hips nice and square to the floor. Make sure you have got your legs in parallel leg position, so a bit of a press on that ball, please. Connecting the feet completely, so toes, ball of the feet and the heels are all connected to the floor. Taking a breath in, I want you just to lift and press the ball. Inhale and lower. Let's do 6. And lower. So remember, you're just tilting that pelvis up and tilting the pelvis down. Just being conscious of the movement of that lower spine. Squeezing that ball. Inhale as you lower. Exhale. Inhale as we lower. Go a little exhale up. Inhale as we lower. Alright. Where am I going next with our pelvic tilt? A little window wiper stretch. You can keep the ball between the shins. I'm going to go back into some abdominal curls. Now I do believe we have the ball between the lower legs. Alright, hands supporting the heads, fingertips so supporting the hands, thumbs either side of the neck. I want those elbows really nice and wide. Taking a breath in, we're going to lift into tabletop and squeeze the ball. Inhale as we lower. Exhale. Inhale as we lower. Now you could keep your feet on the floor as a modification and just work through that abdominal curl. We've got another 3. Singles. Then I'm going to add in a little change of tempo. Remember, a little press in with the legs into the ball. Nice. Here's your change. 3 squeezes into the ball. Let's go again. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Just holding that abdominal lift, nice and still. Try not to tuck your chin. You're looking over and forward of that ball. Ooh, we got 2 more. Really feeling this one. Good, last one. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good, little breather. We're going to go straight into the last 2 sets. Tabletop legs. We're going to try and pulse for 8 count. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down. Nice big breath in. And exhale. I'm going to go again, last set, 8 count pulse. Inhale to prepare, exhale, and 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, exhaling, and relaxing those arms down. Give a little window wiper stretch. You might want to slide those heels along the floor and stretch those legs out. Okay, we're going to come into a seated upright. Please remember the option of coming to upright from the floor is to roll over and use your shoulder and hip to come up to seated, or if you're comfortable, seated roll up. We are going to go into a little bit of C-curve spine work with the ball just sitting on top of the shins. So you can start with the heels of the hands on the ball, and what I'm going to get you to do is roll the ball up, elbows tuck into the waist, exhale, inhale, good, couple more. Nice work. All right. Let's pop the ball in behind one knee. We're going to keep that foot on the floor. We're going to rest back on our elbows. I'm just going to come forward a little. Fingertips pointing towards the feet. Really want you to press into that ball. Point the toe to the floor, taking a breath in, and we're going to circle. 4, 6. Exhale. Inhale. My ball is sliding around. Hope this is going to stay here. It is very warm here today. Reset the ball if you need to. Mine's slipping and sliding. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, and time with that breathing. Exhale as you're circling. 3, getting that nice rotation in through that hip joint and extending that leg out. And we're going to switch across to the other leg. Extending the leg, exhale. Now we're going to repeat this sequence again, if I can keep my ball in place. And we're going to rotate again. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Now, if my ball is going to behave, I'm going to switch legs back again, and this time we're going to change our arm position. So extending the other leg, really press into that ball. This time I'm going to bring the arms up, fingertips resting on the floor. We're going to work through our leg circles. Oh, I can feel it sliding down. I'm going to readjust. And circling the other direction. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to switch across to the other leg and finish that sequence. Arms extended, fingertips pointing forward. If this is uncomfortable, You can repeat the sequence resting down on the elbows as we started with. Oh, that ball is slipping and sliding again. All right, and circle the other direction. 6, 5, 4, 3, hang in there ball, 2, and last one. All right. Little stretch out, point and flex the feet. Okay, we're going to pop the ball behind both knees, and this is an option. Just checking I've done everything here. Oh, yep, okay. So if you're not comfortable with the ball pressed in behind the thighs, I want you just to ditch that ball and do your normal roll like a ball. So breath in, exhale, inhale. So really pressing into that ball. Just got 6. Couple more. Really pressing those feet, those legs together, knees together. Last one. Okay, we're going to go into roll down and into a rollover prep. Again, if you're not comfortable with this, leave it out and just work through your rollovers. So I'm going to pop the ball just between the inner thighs again. I'm going to roll down, legs extended. Nice big stretch. We're going to bring those arms resting beside us on the floor. We're going to take our legs into relaxed position. Taking a breath in, exhale, and inhale. So you might just want to keep it here. Just touch those toes. So we're going to lift, bend, and tap. Exhale, bend the knees, and tap. Lift, bend, and tap. And we're exhaling as we're lifting. Inhaling as we lower and tap. Last one. And you can keep it right there. Our next variation is the rollover, where we're going to extend the legs behind the head. Now we're going to press into the ball all the way through. You could stick with those previous roll like a ball or those half rollovers that we've just gone through. Okay, breath in to prepare. I'm just going to go into tabletop leg. Exhale. Inhale. Just a bending as we return to tabletop. Exhaling, rolling over, pressing into the ball and rolling through. You can bend those knees as you return. Exhale. Inhale, rolling through that spine. You can bend those knees as you return. Or exhaling and keeping those legs lengthened as you return. Just onto the diagonal. Going to do a couple more. So you're choosing where you want to go with this one. Good, last one. Really pressing those shoulders into the floor, arms connected, rolling through that spine, keeping that connection to center. Beautiful. Now we're just going to build onto that last sequence. So we'll take it into your full rollover where we'll flex the feet. You can tap the toes to the floor if you can get that far. I'll see how I go today. And then returning, you can either tuck those knees back into tabletop in readiness for the next repetition. So we're just going to try for 6 of these. Remember, you're working to where you are in control and where you feel ready to work today. Breath in to prepare. Exhale, rolling back. I'm going to flex the feet and touch my toes to the floor. I'm going to take a breath in, exhale, and extending. I'm going to keep my legs extended with this one. Exhaling, flexing, touch the toes to the floor. Inhale to prepare to return, and exhale, rolling through. All about control. Last one. Bending into tabletop, tapping and releasing those feet. You're going to remove that ball, stretch those legs out, or you might want to take it into a nice window wiper stretch. That's our roll over series done. We're going to do a little bit of work in with some oblique curls. And I'm going to get you to pop the ball under the knee again. I'll wipe that leg. Clouding over a little bit now, so it's not so hot. Okay, supporting the head with the hands. What I'm going to do is tap the toe to the floor. I'm going to extend this other leg out, and I'm going to reach across to the leg that is tapping to the floor. Exhale and inhale. Now you can keep both those elbows off the floor, or you can have one elbow, this one, my forward one, resting on the floor. We're just going to do another 3. Really pressing that ball into the back of the thigh, into the back of the calf. Good. The back of the calf into the calf. All right, let's switch across. Point and flex through that foot if you need to. Leg extended, that we're not working. Really tuck that ball in there. Try and point your toe if you can. You might feel it's more comfortable to flex your foot, but try and point the toe if you can. All right, hands supporting head. Exhale. Inhale. Try and avoid tucking your chin. I want you to look right down past the foot that you're tapping on the floor. So look to the outside of the thigh. Now again, you can have that lower elbow resting on the floor if you need to, or you can have both elbows up just to make it a little more challenging. I think that's 6. We'll do one more just in case. Beautiful. Extend that leg, take that ball from behind the leg and just sweep that leg down, point and flex through those toes. And give those feet a little bit of a wiggle. Now I'm just going to check our next move. Bear with me. Oh right, okay, this is quite a nice one. So popping those legs into relaxed position. I've scrunched up my mat again. Make sure those legs are in parallel leg position to start with. I'm going to extend the arms up. I'm going to float those legs up and press those legs together. Taking a breath in, circling the ball around the legs. We're going to do 6 of these. Nice big exhale. I want you to scoop that pubic bone up to the belly button. And exhale. Well, there goes everything. Just 6. If you find this is uncomfortable with legs extended, you can go tabletop. I'm going to change direction. I'll do the second set of 6 in tabletop. So we're just doing that nice little circle round, bringing the shoulders, the head all the way back down after each revolution. Nice work. Gently bring those feet down. I'm just going to straighten up my mat. We'll roll up properly. Might tuck that under my mat. Right, wind keep away. Okay, where are we? We're going to come up to seated. You can choose your option to come up to seated. I'm going to pop the ball underneath the calves. And where am I going? Hands resting on the floor, fingertips facing towards the short end of your mat. So arms are extended. Right, taking a breath in, we're going to pull the ball towards us. We're going to press the heels and bend the knees. And inhale as we extend. Exhale. Inhale, so we're seated nice and tall. Good, press, press, press. Press those knees in together, drawing that belly button in. So keep thinking about scooping in or drawing in that tummy button. Good, eyes looking forward. Knees pressed together, really pressing those heels and those legs into the ball. Here's the last one. Right, I'm just going to change this. So this time I'm going to come down onto the elbows. Now, when I draw the knees in, I'm going to lift the elbows off the floor. Still trying to press those knees and feet together. Good. Last one. Now I'm going to kind of reverse that. So I'm going to start with elbows bent and knees bent. And this time what I'm going to do is, as I extend, I'm going to reach the arms up. So extending arms and legs, bending elbows and knees. Press, press, press those legs, press those feet into the ball. I think this is the last one. Good. I'm going to pop that ball just in between the shins. Right. Just checking we've gone through everything here. Ah, yes, we have. Okay. Page over. I'm going to go back to those pelvic tilts. We're going to lie in a supine position, so facing up, holding on to the ball. Seated roll down. And just placing that ball between the chest. So we're going to place the ball back between the thighs. Give that ball a little bit of a press, so we're trying to press the legs into parallel leg position, so those hip bones, those knees and those feet are all in that nice line. Arms resting beside you on the floor, and I want you to think about those shoulder blades melted into the floor. Now we've got a very gentle neutral spine, so we've got that tiny little finger width gap just behind the back of the waist, so you're pressing those hips. I want you just to feel the shift of the hips. Now I want you to imprint the spine and just tilt those hips up very, very slightly. It's just a tiny little move. Now we'll go into our pelvic tilt. Squeeze the ball. Inhale and lower. You did these before as a bit of a warm-up. Exhale. And inhale. Think about really scooping that belly button in. Last one. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that ball. Beautiful. Let's take it further into our shoulder bridge. So more expansive. That spinal column is going to roll up off the floor. The hips will come up a little higher. And then we're going to roll all the way down with that spine in a nice sequential manner. Okay. Breathe in to prepare. Press the hips down and then start to peel that spine up, up, up off the floor, resting on those shoulders. Take a moment to breathe in and start to press the spine between those shoulder blades, lowering bone by bone all the way down. Feel the curvature of the spine. Beautiful. Let's do one more. Pressing hips heavy as we inhale, exhale, rolling and lifting. Supported with arms, head and shoulders. Feet are in that parallel leg position. We're pressing into that ball all the way through this bridge work. We're going to lift our legs into tabletop. We're going to pop the ball just under the heel and roll the ball into the instep of the foot. So I want you to get comfortable with that. Just inch those heels in quite close to that hip. We're going to go into bridge for 4 and we're going to really press down into that ball as much as you can. Exhaling, press, press, press. We're going to use that supporting foot to stabilize. Inhale to prepare. We're going to exhale and we're going to lower down. Good, let's do 3 more. And inhale at the top to get ready. Yup, my balls are rolling around a lot there. Just going to shift my foot position slightly. Good, fill those lungs with air. Nice, big sniffing through the nose. Last one. Shift that ball again. Absolutely fine just to shift that foot position on the ball and reset it when you need to. Let's come across. We're going to switch across to the other side. Try and just ensure those feet are in parallel leg position. Taking a breath in. Exhale, press, press, press into those feet. Exhale as you lower down. Again, being mindful of that movement through your spine. 3 more. Ooh, really feeling this through the rear of the thigh and into that calf on that raised leg. So really starting to challenge all those muscles, ligaments and joints. Working hard to stabilize. Good, still working through that core area, so thighs, hips, abdominals and lower back as well. If you wanted a challenge, you can place both feet on the ball. You can go into bridge with the feet on the ball. Ooh, really feeling this one. Last couple. Remember, this is absolutely an option. Good, shoulders still nice and heavy, arms relaxed on the floor. Working through the breathing, think about that control, that centering, that concentration, precision, breath work. Whew. All right, I'm just going to retrieve that ball. We're going to go into some side lying work. We're almost there. Front leg will be lengthened, resting on your forearm. I'm going to pop the ball in behind the top leg and behind the knee, and we've got, beg your pardon, one hand on the floor. Okay, actually you can come down if you want to in this position. I'm just going to rest on my forearm. So we're going to start with front leg is slightly forward at the hip. That ball's disappearing again. All right, we're going to lift and lower. Exhale and inhale. What I want you to do is think about drawing your belly button away from this arm. Keeping that top shoulder nice and open, eyes looking forward. And that foot is flexed or fairly neutral, just to keep that ball pressed in behind the back of the knee. We're doing 6. I think that's my last one. I'm going to reset that ball. I think I probably could have deflated it a little bit more. All right, so we've done our lift and lows. We're going to start with knees connected. This time I'm going to get you to move forward and all the way back. Now we're going to keep these hips nice and stable and all the way back. So we're not rolling through the hip. Fairly level plane of movement, so trying to keep it nice and steady with that control, that precision. Good, I think this is number 6. And resting. Stretch that leg out, point and flex through the toes, rotate through the ankles. Last movement with side leg on this side is our rotations. So we're going to start with knees together. Take a breath in. We're going to exhale and lift. And we're going to circle. Trying to keep these hips nice and still. Draw that belly button in, scoop, scoop, scoop. I think that's 6, we're going to go reverse. 2 more. And stretch and point. Right, we're going to keep that ball pressed into the back of the knee. We're going to keep that leg lifted. 6 lift and lowers with that lower leg. Oh, there goes my class plan again. Last one. Ooh, and stretch. Let's switch ends. Set it up so you can come all the way down with head supported, hand on ear. Resting on the forearm is the other option. Front leg forward. Remember, we've got the toe and the knee slightly forward of that hip. Let's extend that leg, tuck that ball in there. Knees start connected. And I want you to think about drawing that belly button away from that arm resting against your abdomen. We're going to keep that shoulder nice and open as well. Try and focus on looking forward rather than down at your leg. Taking a breath in, lift and lower. Have we got this scooped in? Yep. Good, 2 more. My counting's terrible. Beautiful, pausing there, give that foot a little point and flex if you need to, a little circle through the ankle, reset the ball if you have to. Okay, let's go forward and back. So we're going to start with knees connected. Nice breath in to get prepared. Exhaling, lift. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Oh, I've got a bougainvillea bush behind me and I don't want to stick my foot into a big prickle. Beautiful as they are, they're quite nasty thorns on them. Ooh, nice work. This is our last one. Good, take a little moment there. We're going to go into our leg rotation, 6 in each direction. I'm just going to stretch it out, reset. Knees start connected, drawing that belly button away from that arm. We're going to lift and we're going to circle. Resetting, scooping, exhale. Circle for 6. For 5 more. Ooh, 3. 2. Last one. Good, I'm just going to point and flex. Cramping up a little through the toes. Alright, I'm resetting that ball in behind the knee for the very last time. What I'm going to get you to do is lift this knee. We're going to keep this leg nice and still. Foot's fairly neutral. Just for 6. Last one. Option with that one is you can remove the ball. You can have that foot on the floor and lift and lower. If that's uncomfortable with that foot lifted through the hips or wherever, modification. Alright, we're going to come down to prone position. Just rolling over to our sides. We're going to pop the ball between the shins. And coming down. Alright, so resting those elbows on the floor. Just going to relax the top of the feet on the floor. Resting the head, I want you just to melt the chest. The elbows are nice and heavy. Ribs and hips. Taking a breath in. Exhaling. And inhale. Gently lift those elbows up off the floor. You can extend those arms if you wish. The further up you're extending the head away from the floor, you'll be looking forward. Remember to take this movement where you are in control and where it's comfortable for you. You may just even want to come here. So just focus the gaze more towards the floor, keeping that chin in neutral. Last one. We're really pressing those hip bones, those thighs and the tops of those feet into the floor, and we're slightly pressing gently into the ball as we work through that. Alright, we're just going to take a little change here. We're going to lift. We're going to hold our lift and lift the legs. Tap and lift. Now if you're not comfortable with head and chest lifted, what I want you to do is keep the head and chest on the floor and lift and lower those legs. So you've got two options there. Last one. Beautiful. Just having a little rest there for a moment. We're going to go into that head and chest lift. I'm going to show you the option. You can decide whether it is going to be appropriate for you. Bit of a swan dive. We're just going to do one more. Good, and take your time coming all the way back down. You might want to extend those arms out, make those bodies nice and heavy for a moment. We're going to come into a slight change of position, and this will take us through the last sequence of movements for our class today. So just bringing those hands, we're going to go almost into a cobra. So we're going to push up into our 4-point kneeling position. So bring those heels up. Make sure those wrists are in line with the shoulders. Exhaling. Rolling up, chest, ribs, hip bones, pubic bone. Walking those hands in. We're going to rock and roll again. I'm going to walk myself onto my mat. We've still got the ball between the shins. So remember our rock and roll that we did right at the start. We're going to do a couple more with the knees grounded, and you can stay here with knees grounded. We're going to lift those heels and we're going to lift the knees, rocking forward down onto the knees. Lift the knees. If you can, keep those knees lifted. Fantastic. If that's not for you, keep those knees down. Good, we're going to do one more. We're going to pop down onto our knees. Now I'm going to make a bigger range of motion with this movement. So I'm just going to bring those hands a little forward. Take a breath in. We're going to rock and roll. Big movement this time. Knees off. Lengthening the legs. Pressing into the ball. Okay, we've got two more. And now I want you to, after this next one, hold this position, high plank. Up into your pike. Back into your plank. Up into your pike. Exhale. Scoot that belly button in. Exhale. Kind of pressing your heels towards the floor if you can. Last one into high plank. Last one into your pike. Hold it in your pike or downward facing dog position. Press, press, press into that ball. Take a breath in. We're going to exhale, walk those hands, soften those knees if you need to. Sweep those fingertips off the floor, scooping in that belly. Exhale, we're going to roll up to standing. I'm just going to turn and face you. And we're going to relax those arms down. Take a little squat. We're going to retrieve that ball. And we're just going to finish with a little bit of chest work standing. We're in parallel leg position. Taking a breath in. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, squeeze. That was an exhale. Last two. Last one. Breath in. Exhale, lowering those arms down. Coming down to a narrow squat. You can pop that ball on the floor. Shrug and roll. And I just simply want you to shake it off. So I hope you enjoyed that session. I'll be doing another session with the circle or the Pilates ring, whatever you want to call it. The magic circle or the circle of death or the ring of fire. See you guys soon. Any comments, questions, feedback, please let me know. You can find this on YouTube, Eastside Training Squad. Thanks guys.